just a complete polar opposite game from Sunday night versus Los Angeles, where it felt like there were practically no highlights in that game. And then in this one, I do the clips on Twitter, and man, I would like never stop throughout this game. Just a constant flow of clips from this game because there were so many highlights, so many goals in this one as the Blackhawks defeat the Senators 7-3. Obviously, the big storyline of the night, Connor Bedard, 4 points, 3 goals, all in only 16 minutes of ice time, which is probably the most surprising part of that. We've seen Bedard playing upwards of 22, 23 minutes over the past, handful of games, which is probably a little bit too much. You want to manage him a little bit better. And if you're able to manage him, have him only play about 16 minutes per night, which obviously is not going to happen moving forward consistently. But a night like tonight is like a dream scenario for Jeff Blashill, playing him only 16 minutes per night or a night in this one, and then you get a 4.3 goal performance out of him. But first, I actually want to run through the kind of game flow from tonight before we get into the individual performances, because there was a lot to take away. Obviously, Bedard headlines that, but early in the first period, it was actually Louis Crevier really got off to a hot start in this game. I have a lot to talk about with him because his shot went off the pad of Omar and got put in the net by Colton Dach about 7 minutes into this game to open the scoring. That was Dach's first of the season. Nice to see him getting on the board. And then Crevier right after that, just 6 minutes after that, he had a shot from the right wall that just kind of hit a body out in front, hit a Senator out in front, and deflected into the net. So Louis Crevier definitely will take that. He had 2 early points in this game, and I thought, that might have not, he played a full well-rounded game in this one. I don't know what I was saying there, but he played a real well-rounded game in this one. It wasn't just the offensive highlights for Louis in this one. He had multiple instances where he was getting sticks on puck, deflecting passes. He was shutting players down. He was playing physical as he always does, just with it's basic hits. It's not like a highlight reel hit where someone, goes flailing onto the ice or anything like that, but it's just solid physical hits that you can tell they hurt when Louis gives them. And he just played a real good, solid, well-rounded game tonight. Obviously, those 2 points are the highlight, but he was super good in his own end as well as he has been. And he played a lot throughout this game. Now, his ice time kind of came back down to earth during the third period. I don't know. That may have more just been game flow, but early on, I think he was really pacing the Blackhawks in ice time through the first period, maybe period and a half. He did get banged up off a shot from the point, hit him in a weird spot on the knee or something like that, and that probably is actually what played into his ice time. But before that happened, he was actually really, I think he might have been the leader for ice time, which is kind of crazy because he entered this game as the 7th defenseman on the lineup. So Crevier, just a real good game, getting more and more trust from the coaching staff and getting more and more ice time. Levchinov played 13 minutes, which was the lowest out of the Blackhawks score I've seen. I want to touch on this real quick. There's a lot. This might be a long video because there's a lot to talk about in this one, but I do want to touch on Levchinov real quick because I've seen, a lot of people saying he should be sent to the AHL if he's only going to play 13 minutes and he's still making some of these mistakes that you see throughout the game, whether it's maybe a defensive breakdown or just a bad pass, a bad play, a boneheaded play, whatever it may be. And really, for me, I think the best move for Levchinov and for the Blackhawks is to keep him in the NHL, even if he's only playing 7th defenseman minutes, and even if, he may even be scratched a few games throughout the season. He may not play in all 82 games throughout the season, and I think it's the right move because with Levchinov, I think the best way for him to develop is playing with the pros. He played better in the NHL last year than he did in his stint in the AHL, and honestly, I think it's just better for him to learn from the pros, be with the pros, and learn from some of the top defensive defensemen that we have up here. Connor Murphy, Matt Grzelcyk's not necessarily a defensive defenseman, but he's still a veteran player. Alex Vlasic's obviously, a premier defensive defenseman. Even Louis Crevier, I know he's a young guy too, but he's playing real solid. Wyatt Kaiser's been instrumental to his development. I think that's probably the biggest reason why Levchinov is in the NHL right now, is because of Wyatt Kaiser and how valuable he's been to Levchinov, helping him grow. So just that, along with the NHL coaches, along with watching the NHL team being around the NHL team. All of that, I think, factors into his development. It's not like you can just send him down in a video game and have him automatically go up in overall. It's not like that for every single player. So I'm cool having him stick in the NHL. Plus, it benefits Kevin Korchinski, who's been real good down in Rockford, allowing Korchinski to play the number one defenseman role, get heavy minutes, play PP1, quarterback that top unit, which would be taken away if Levshunov was down in the AHL. So for all those reasons, I think Levshunov playing in the NHL, even if it's 7th defenseman minutes, is fine with me, and I'm okay with that. And I really like how the Blackhawks have managed Levshunov and Crevier and all the defensemen, really, the 7 defensemen. The 11-7 has worked out flawlessly, really, for the Blackhawks. I think I might even make an extended focus video just talking about the 11-7 rotation that the Blackhawks have been running and how well that's working, why that might be what they need to continue doing for an extended period of time. But that, I think I'm just going to save that for a separate video because I don't want to, I've probably already talked a little bit too long about it because we have so much other stuff to talk about. Just to finish up with the ice time from today's game, especially in the back end, I found it interesting. Vlasic and Kaiser both played 21 minutes. They are the Blackhawks 1 and 2, which makes sense, I think. Kaiser wasn't his best today. He had a few bad defensive plays that, really was 2 that got highlighted because he got scored on as a result of it. He and Levshunov had a miscommunication in the D zone, led to the Amadio goal, and then he got beat out basically by Stützle for the Senators, I think, 3rd goal at that point. And those kind of defensive breakdowns, they're going to happen. He's still a young defenseman, even though he's been playing so well, and they just unfortunately got highlighted because the Senators capitalized. But I still think he's deserving of this ice time because he's played so good throughout the season, even if tonight wasn't his best. Vlasic, obviously, we know he's, that top guy. Crevier played a handful of minutes, did get banged up, which hampered his minutes a little bit. Sam Rinzel played 16 minutes tonight. Now, it's not the 23-24 we kind of expected him to play heading into the season, but again, I don't mind them managing his minutes a little more. That's been something Jeff Blashill's talked about throughout this year. He wants to manage these younger defensemen's minutes a little more. Murphy played 15 and Grissel played 17. So that's how the defensive minutes shaped out. I probably spent way too long talking about this, but wanted to cover it. The defense played pretty solid overall outside of the stretch in the second period where the whole team got dominated. I thought the defense played pretty well, so I wanted to highlight that. I really like how the 11-7 has been working. But continuing on with the game flow, Blackhawks really dominated the first period, I would say, even though they didn't get a ton of shots. Ottawa actually outshot them in the first period, but the Blackhawks finished the period up 3-0 thanks to a Connor Bedard power play goal. It was his first of the game, came with 2 minutes left in the first. This was the goal. He got the puck on the power play on the right side and was able to snipe it past Omar. Now, the Blackhawks made this switch yesterday in practice. Connor Bedard moved to the right side on PP1 and Burakovsky up in place of Teravainen over on the left side. I absolutely love this change. I was talking about it with some guys at practice yesterday, just how much this could benefit Connor, because we all know just the TDR toe drag release he has and the absolute insane wrister drag shot snapshot he has when he's on his strong side. And I think playing to that strength and allowing him to get more of those shots off on the power play, I think that's going to benefit the Blackhawks. The one-timers just haven't been clicking for him. I think he may have 1 goal so far this season on a one-timer, but he's had a few chances to get them off, and a lot of times they haven't really been that good. He hasn't had a ton of quality one-timers this season, and it just hasn't really been working. The power play's been dry. Getting Burakovsky up there allows for cleaner zone entries. Now, we only saw the one power play in this game that lasted 15 seconds because they scored right away. But even on that one, that was a good play by Burakovsky, who found Bedard and fed Bedard. Burakovsky played really, really well today, even if he didn't get, wasn't the most noticeable player. He played really well. But it was Burakovsky who came down the wall, found Bedard on the power play. That's just an example of what he can do. And then on the zone entries, we didn't see it in this game because they didn't have the opportunity to do it. But on the zone entries, he can really benefit them there as well. So I love the new power play personnel. We'll see it a little more in action in the coming games. But that was Bedard's first goal. Blackhawks went up 3-0 heading into the second. And then right away in the second period, Connor Bedard solo effort for the goal. Coast to coast TDR, his second of the game. That was 3 minutes into the second period. This might have been his best one of the night. One of the highlight, honestly, one of the best of his career. This was a beautiful goal for Connor, complete solo effort. Blackhawks were up 4-0 at this point, but this is where the Senators really pushed. It was about a 10-minute stretch in the middle of the second period where the Senators completely took over play. The Blackhawks, I mean, they look lost out on the ice, and they clawed back to make it 4-3. And the Blackhawks challenged the third Senators goal and was unsuccessful. So the Senators got a power play down 1 goal. This was in literally a 5-minute span. They went from down 4-0 to down 4-3. Blackhawks were able to kill the power play. They started to settle it down a little bit, and it was still a 1-goal game heading into the third, which is where Connor Bedard got his hat trick. The first one of his career, is his first multi-goal game. He's not had a lot of career multi-goal games. He had the one actually versus Ottawa last year in the last game of the season. He had the 2-goal effort, and then this one, obviously, he puts up 3. I think those are his only 2 multi-goal games since his rookie season, if he even had any during that season. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they both have came versus Ottawa, so that's nice. But the Bedard hat trick put the Blackhawks up 5-3, really got the crowd into it, and that kind of allowed the Blackhawks to keep the foot on the gas enough. The Senators were coming in on a back-to-back, and during that stretch where they took over, it was really concerning that this was happening again. We saw this happen with the Kings and the Canucks, where the team comes in on the back-to-back, Blackhawks dominate in the first period, and then they ease up in the second period for no apparent reason and let the other team back in the game. And they did that in this one, which it's still a major concern. They were luckily able to refine themselves and get themselves back on track, and they were able to seal the game, but it was not pretty in that second period, and they definitely need to clean that up moving forward. But Donato basically iced it. 11 minutes left. He gets on the board. Bedard picks up his 4th point with the assist, and it made it a 6-3 game. And then Nazar iced it officially with the empty netter. I guess this was actually with 7 minutes left. I thought this was later in the game, but the Senators pulled their goalie real early. So Nazar was able to ice it, make it 7-3. Few scrums in this game, not going to highlight them too much, but that was kind of a fun element, especially at the end. Tyler Bertuzzi went after, I think it was Nick Cousins, after Cousins laid kind of a dirty hit late in the game. And Blackhawks were able to come away with the win. Spencer Knight played decently. 21 of 24, didn't have any highlight reel saves. And this one, which is fine, that's probably a good thing. But he did let in a couple goals. It was during that span. Not really going to blame him, honestly. I'd have to rewatch him. I don't think, off the top of my head, I don't remember specifically, but I don't think they were explicitly on Knight. He's played so good throughout the season, and he put together another winning effort in this one. Quick little read through the box score before we get into some of your takeaways. Connor Bedard, 3 goals, 1 assist, 60%, 6 out of 10 in the draw, in the circle in this one. And this was actually after the game Sunday versus Los Angeles. He won a career high 10 faceoffs. Now the NHL.com box score only gives me the faceoff percentage, so I didn't realize he won 10. But that was a career high last game, and he continued that with a 6 out of 10 effort in the circle in this one. So that's obviously major positive outside of all the goal scoring that he's done, just to see him improving in the circle. Nazar had 2 points. Burakovsky, 2 assists. He played a real good game. Bedard, 2 of Bedard's goals were set up directly by great plays by Burakovsky, and he just played really, really good in this one. Really like how he's been playing on that top line with Connor Bedard. It was actually Ryan Green who picked up an assist in this game. He was actually penciled into the top line. I don't know if that line stuck together throughout the whole game, because I feel like I didn't really notice Ryan Green at all, but I saw Bedard and Burakovsky a lot, so I don't remember specifically if that line stuck together, but Green was up there. Obviously, Ilya Mikheyev out for this game. So Green was up there, though. He got a shot, picked up an assist. Didn't really notice him in this one. Not necessarily a terrible thing, but kind of weird that I didn't notice him. Foligno picked up 2 assists, including his 600th point in the NHL. Dickinson, Donato Dickinson with an assist, Donato with a goal. Both got points. Like I said earlier, 2 points for Crevier, Grizzly, Levchinov, Vlasic, all picked up assists. and the Blackhawks took down the Senators 7-3. Very exciting game. Definitely made up for the lack of excitement in the LA game. Got a few takeaways from you guys in this one. So many positives from today, but something that's not on the stat sheet that I love: Bertuzzi's net presence. Holy smokes. Yeah, he has. That's definitely a good call out, good point, because I didn't mention that. But he's been very, very good, and with the screens, with the net front presence on the power play, even though that wasn't evident necessarily in this game. But the screens certainly were. I think I mean at least one of Bedard's goals was basically because of the screen from Bertuzzi. He may have even contributed to another one. He's very good in the net front role. I haven't been the biggest fan of Tyler Bertuzzi in his Blackhawks tenure, but one thing I can't not ignore is his net front presence is very elite. Whether it's on the power play, whether it's at even strength, very, very good in that role, and that does make him pretty valuable to this team. The streak of horribly biased officiating when we play Canadian teams continues. I don't remember specific calls in this one. Maybe it was like the offsides was a little bit questionable, though. I probably would have let that one stand as a goal. It didn't really matter in this one, which is nice. Probably I notice more when the team loses. Refs had a real hard time protecting players out there. Yeah, the scrum got a little bit out of hand. There was actually a few times, now that you bring that up, I do remember Rinzel took like a kind of high hit, it felt like, and then he gave a little cross-check back to Ridley Krieg, and they called it a cross-checking penalty, but didn't call the hit. That one was questionable. And then, they let things get a little out of hand when Bertuzzi got his temper flared and he went after Nick Cousins. Next one just says Hawks good. Yeah, they've continued their strong start to the season. Bad game versus LA, but they bounced right back with a strong effort versus the Senators. Bedard's a Blackhawk. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk between Bedard, Celebrini, and a lot of comparisons, but I think both are just such different players. It's really hard to compare. Like you can compare the short sample size of points. Even after today, I'm not being like, oh, Bedard 3 goals, Macklin, whatever he had. Like I think they're just very, very different players, so that it's kind of hard to compare them. They're in very different situations, and I am very happy Connor is a Blackhawk, and that's basically what the last one says. Connor F. and Bedard. Big game from him. Really exciting effort. He now has 4 goals and 5 points in his last 2 games. He's been real good, over point per game on the season. My voice is kind of fading almost. Very exciting game for me, and that is going to do it for this post-game recap. Blackhawks start a 6-game road trip on Thursday. Not sure who they play on Thursday, but it starts a 6-game roadie out in Western Canada. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching.